Am I the a-hole for not inviting my dad and stepmom to my wedding? I, 28 female, am engaged to my fiancé Dave, 28 male. This week, I was going to my hometown and invited him to come with me so he can meet my family. He's met my brothers and my mom, but not my dad and extended family. When I was 16, my dad cheated on my mom with a very well-known escort, then married her. Not only was I going through a tough time dealing with our family being torn apart, but I also had to deal with all the ridicule of having an escort stepmom. People weren't as open with that kind of work back then, and it was hell for me when people found out. Especially since my stepmom was very vocal and confident about her work. I changed schools in my senior year because I couldn't handle everyone making fun of me because of my dad and stepmom. My older brother got suspended once because another kid made a joke about hiring our stepmom for a good time, and they got into a big fight. I stayed with my mom full-time and barely spoke to my dad or stepmom. My dad wanted equal custody of me and my brothers, who were 17 and 14 years old at a time, but none of us wanted to live with him and his wife, and he couldn't really force us to split our time for him. He also gave up making an effort to see us at all when we said we don't want to live with him half the time, so we barely saw him. When I finished high school, I left our hometown and moved to a big city for college. My brothers also moved there, and our mom would come visit us all the time, so I didn't bother go back to our hometown. Dad didn't offer to come see us, and none of us have been back home, so this week was the first time I've seen my dad in about 10 years. My auntie was hosting a dinner party so everyone can meet my fiancé, and of course, my dad and stepmom were there. I was polite to them, but it was awkward, and my fiancé was doing all the talking. Stepmom asked us when and where the wedding is, and my fiancé told her it's on the 2nd of December. She said, "Wow, and you still haven't sent our invites?" My fiancé just kind of looked at me awkwardly, and I answered, "We have sent out invites, but our guest list is limited and we're only inviting our closest friends and family, so I couldn't make space for you and Dad. Sorry." She just smiled and said she understood we aren't inviting anyone we aren't super close to. We'll be having 30 guests in total. The next day, my dad comes to visit my fiancé and I at our Airbnb, and he asks me why him and his wife aren't invited to our wedding. He said I'm his only daughter, and he'll feel like a failure if he can't even walk me down the aisle. I said, it makes me sad that my dad won't walk me down the aisle either, but I'm not going to make a fuss about that tradition when we have barely spoken since I was 16. We don't have a father-daughter relationship, and I'm not going to pretend like we do just for my wedding. He started crying and asked how long I plan to punish him for what happened between him and my mom. He said it feels like he lost his children 12 years ago when he divorced my mom, and now I'm putting the final nail in the coffin. I told him I don't hold resentment over his divorce with mom and everything he did, but the fact of the matter is that we aren't close anymore. And I'm not interested in faking it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your dad is feeling like a failure because he is a failure of a dad. The audacity of people. I can't believe he broke up your family like that, hooking up with an escort, and expect you to have him walk you down the aisle like some kind of upstanding father. Ridiculous. 100%. Even if you overlook the cheating, breaking the family apart, and all the bullying endured, he stopped trying to make amends. It was on him to come to his children, but it probably just became easier on his pride to give up. OP, not the a-hole. I hope your mom is doing well. Your siblings too. You're going to have an amazing wedding. Call me traditional, but I've never understood why people who don't value wedding vows should be invited to weddings in the first place. Not the a-hole. Honestly, even the stepmom had a lot more grace about it. Not the a-hole. And at this point, the only a-hole is the dad. Even his mistress has more class than him. And that's the thing. At the very least, in the presence of everyone, she held it together. It's completely acceptable to be upset about things in your own private time, as another to make a scene in front of people. Sound like stepmom has accepted this. You handled it perfectly, honestly. There is a vast spectrum between resentment and healthy relationship. And your dad doesn't get to guilt you into a relationship that doesn't exist. Don't let the consequences that is now fully realizing wait on you at all. Not the a-hole. OP, it is important to have the wedding both you and your fiancé want. You haven't asked Dad for any money for the wedding and didn't even invite him, so he has no say. As for his hurt feelings, it seems he has had illusions of walking you down the aisle and has only now realized that this is not gonna happen. It is a hard truth, but a choice made a long time ago. I hope you have a wonderful wedding and a very happy marriage. I wish you all the very best, OP. Congratulations. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she didn't come to my graduation? So a bit of background. My sister and I have always had a competitive relationship. 2 years ago, when I graduated from a master's program, she didn't attend because she was on a retreat with her then fiancé. It was a big deal for me because I was the first in our family to get a graduate degree, and I really wanted her to be there. I felt hurt, and we had a big argument about it where she said my graduation was just another ceremony and that I was being overly sensitive. Fast forward to now, she's getting married. The problem is, she chose a destination wedding on this very exclusive island, and the cost of attendance is way beyond what I can comfortably afford. I'm talking about several $1,000s for the weekend. When I told her I might not be able to come, she freaked out and said I was trying to sabotage her special day. I'm also a bit tight on money because I've been saving up to buy a house. I tried explaining this to her, but she said that I'm being selfish and that I should take out a loan if I have to because it is her once-in-a-lifetime moment. I haven't given her a definitive answer yet, but I'm leaning towards not going. My parents are saying that I should just suck it up and go to keep the peace, but I don't see why I should go into debt for a wedding when she couldn't even drive across town for my graduation. So am I the a-hole for not wanting to go to my sister's wedding? Not the a-hole. Never go in debt for someone else, especially a destination wedding. I'm sorry, I can't afford that and won't be attending. Rinse and repeat. Why should you have to keep the peace? It's not your destination wedding. If anything, your parents want the peace kept. Then they can pay you to attend as a gift. You're not selfish. Your sister is just entitled. Don't feel bad. After all, it's just another ceremony. The words destination wedding changed my answer instantly as soon as I read them. Forget the graduation. If you have to pay to attend someone's wedding, then there's no stipulation you have to go, no matter the relation. If you want a destination wedding, then you eat that some people won't be there who otherwise would have been. If there is someone specific that must be there, then you need to be prepared to foot the bill to get them there yourself. If you can't afford that, then you can't afford your destination wedding. Not the a-hole. If you're not going to her wedding ruins her entire wedding, then she's clearly got bigger issues to work out. Or she should have planned with you in mind if it's that important. Not just OP, I'd wager there's a few family members that would have difficulty affording to go, especially these days. Not the a-hole. Never keep the peace. It is a phrase used when you are right, but those who use it are unwilling to call out the real a-hole, your sister. Don't put yourself in debt or use savings for a vanity wedding. Because that's all it is, her ego-stroking destination wedding. If she needs you there, let her pay for you. But seriously, don't go. Your reasons are 100% valid. I hate this phrase with every fiber of my being. It's used to bully people into tolerating crappy behavior, and it serves only to encourage a-holes to keep being a-holes. I refuse to keep the peace with someone who treats me badly. I will call them on it, or simply cut contact. The others I hate, be the bigger person and but family. Next story. Am I the a-hole for showing my mom the letter my sister wrote to me before she died? I, 16 male, lost my sister Birdie last year. Birdie was 20 when she died. She had been diagnosed with cancer a year before her death. She knew she was dying, so she made a will for the very few things she had. It was mostly sentimental childhood stuff she had. Old stuffies, and she had a necklace that our dad bought her. Stuff like that. It wasn't a lot, but she left it all to me. She also wrote a letter to me before she died. But anyway, I was the only person who got anything from Birdie. She left our paternal grandparents in charge of everything until I'm 18, or until I'm out of my mom's house. The problem with this is Mom has other kids. Birdie and I lost our dad when we were both kids. Mom remarried. Neither of us really cared much for my mom's husband, and when Mom had more kids, we didn't feel the same about them as we did each other. Birdie was more vocal when I didn't say anything. Mostly I didn't want to fight with Mom over it, and I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But Birdie and Mom never really got along, and it was only worse after Dad died and then Mom remarried. The fact Birdie left nothing for our half-siblings and never even wrote them a goodbye letter bothers Mom, and it really upset them because they wanted to know why she wrote to me and left me her stuff, but not them. They wanted to read my letter, but I said no. It became a fight with Mom then, and she wanted to know why Birdie left the rest of the family nothing, and why even when she knew she was dying, she couldn't find a way to embrace the other kids enough to give them something. A small goodbye. I showed Mom the letter because Birdie wrote a lot about her feelings and mentioned things she and I talked about when Mom wasn't around. I knew the letter would be a lot. Birdie said clearly that she never loved or cared about the other kids at all and wanted me to know that she didn't want them to have anything. But if I felt differently, if I ended up loving them one day and wanted to give them something of hers, that she wouldn't be mad. Mom read the whole thing twice, if not 3 times, and then she asked me why I had shown her the letter and what did I want to do with her. She was so mad she was shaking, and she told me I was never to show my half-siblings, and I pointed out that I had said no to them reading it already. Nothing else was said that day, but then Mom told me I was cruel for rubbing my sister's words in her face, and she wanted me to know she might never be able to forgive me for it. She told me forgiveness would be off the table if I ever breathed a word of it to her other kids. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. She asked and didn't like the answer. That answer was not yours. It was Birdie's and in her own words. I'm sure it stung like hell, but she asked. It is not right or fair for her to be mad at you for giving her what she wanted. Birdie has the right to do with her stuff what she wanted. It would be best not to ever show the letter to the others unless they push you into it. My guess would be that they're going to at some point. Be jealous if there is any real money waiting for you and not them. If you don't have to hurt them, then don't if possible. Hide that letter very well and take a picture of it and email it to yourself for safekeeping. Good luck. No real money. It was just sentimental stuff that she kept. But what little money she did have, I also get. I would definitely get copies and put the original letter somewhere safe until you can move into your own places in a few years. Yes, I have a feeling she might try to destroy the letter. Last story. Am I the a-hole for putting pressure on my sister after she found out her husband got another woman pregnant? My sister has been married for 10 years, and she has 3 children with her husband. She found out 2 weeks ago that her husband cheated on her at least a dozen times and got the other woman pregnant. This is, of course, has been the most awful thing for my sister, and I have been supporting and comforting her ever since she learned what happened. My sister has spoken like she's heavily leaning towards staying with her husband so their kids' lives don't get turned upside down. She has said that she could not be around a child though, and would never accept them. I understand her feelings are all over the place and that she's still raw with all of this. But when she talked about staying and mentioned her feelings for the child, I felt like I needed to step in, and this is where I might be the a-hole. So there is some background as to why I feel so strongly. Our dad was the result of an affair. He was not American, and his country of birth did not give divorce as an option. So his father's wife stayed, and he ended up with custody of Dad. Dad was made to suffer for his birth, and it was something that really weighed on Dad for the rest of his life. He said he was born hated, and he knew he would die hated if his half-siblings were still alive in his country of birth. His childhood was miserable, and there were times he wondered how he survived his childhood. It was rough, and he moved to America young to start anew and have a better life. We were told about this a few times, and I always think of Dad and the pain he carried because of his childhood. So I truly feel divorce is better, and especially when it's so easily available here, versus what Dad went through and what his father's wife went through with no options to leave. This is why I told my sister she shouldn't stay just to keep her kids' lives from turning upside down. I pointed out that it was not healthy for anyone, told her to think of Dad. She told me I shouldn't be putting pressure on her right now. That she knows what Dad went through, but this is her kids' lives. It's her life. She told me I wasn't helping anymore and that's what she needed. Help via me listening to her and shutting up about leaving. Then she told me I freaking sucked right now, and I should be more worried about her than anyone. Am I the a-hole? The real a-hole here is her sister's husband, who not only cheated on her, but also didn't even have the decency to use protection while doing so. Would he have ever told your sister about his affair if his mistress hadn't gotten pregnant? My guess is no, given how long the affair had already been going on. The real advice her sister needs is to get tested for STD or STIs. No a-holes here except her sister's husband. Apologize to her and just listen until she has had the time to start to process things. She's right, it has been only 2 weeks. Also, your sister is really traumatized and needs to make a lot of decisions and get used to a new reality. She needs to get through her many emotions, and it's okay to let her be mad at you until she can find it safe to be mad at her rotten husband. She's going to have a long period of adjustment, so be patient with her and with yourself, and encourage her to express herself. I know that you are very much not the a-hole. Much love and care to you both. This literal exact thing happened to me last year. I found out in July. I am just now fully adjusted to my new life, and still processing my emotions/feelings. This advice is spot on. She has a lot to get through. My heart hurts for OP's sister. It is an awful traumatic thing that happened to her. I filed for divorce a little less than 2 months ago. I just wanted to put it out there. OP's sister could take a while to get through this. Your sister's kids' lives are already being turned upside down. Kids know when things aren't right with their parents, and forcing a happy family onto a serial cheater with a baby mama is not going to work at all. The kids will suffer less if she leaves him and finds someone who will be a true partner and treat her with respect. She is in denial and seems to think she can just will this away. She cannot. Her husband will keep cheating and she will stay miserable. And her kids will know about it and it will influence their future relationships for the rest of their lives. I get that she feels she needs support from you and not a lecture on things she already knows. But she's got big decisions to make, and quickly. Not the a-hole, but maybe apologize to soften the blow, as you don't want her to distance herself. But at the same time, it doesn't sound at all to me like she's really thinking of her kids yet. Am I the a-hole for laughing in my mother's friend's face when she told me to go to my room? I, 25 female, don't speak to my mother, like at all. I had to go to my mother's house today to pick up an important document that I left behind when I moved out 7 years ago. As soon as I got to the house, my mother suddenly had a massive emergency and realized that it was apparently her friend's funeral today and she completely forgot about it. I couldn't help but internally roll my eyes, as there is always some drama, hence why I have gone no/very low contact. She asked me if I would watch my 2 younger brothers, 7 and 11, whilst she went to the funeral, and I said absolutely not. This is my only day off. I have plans, and I have no relationship with them due to my mother stopping them from seeing me for years. I just wanted to get my birth certificate and leave. My mother asked her friend if she would babysit and asked me to stay for 10 minutes until her friend came. I didn't get even the opportunity to say no before my mother left the house. I was seething, but resolved to wait 10 minutes. My mother's friend turned up and started berating me for not agreeing to look after my brothers whilst my mother went to the funeral. I said, I don't have anything to do with my mother. It's my day off work, and I'm under no obligation to look after anyone else's children. My mother's friend then told me to go to my room. I laughed in her face and started to leave the house. She asked me where I was going, and I told her, my room, at my apartment, that I pay for with my big girl job. Because I'm an adult, not a child, and don't ever speak down to me like that again. And I left. My mother has left me loads of messages and missed calls saying I'm an a-hole for the way I spoke to her friend. I do admit I look kinda young, but I'm still not happy with the way my mother's friend spoke to me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I actually quite admire your refusal to get drawn in. Absolutely not the a-hole. I have issues with people who talk to even my second graders like this. If Opie were my child, the friend would be getting more than an earful. I hope you enjoy the freedom from having to deal with them, Opie. May it be full of autonomy and independence. Not the a-hole. The audacity to try and send someone else's adult child to their room. I would have laughed too. I came into this expecting her to be younger than 18, and when I read 25, I laughed for like 5 minutes. Even if she was under 18, that person had absolutely zero grounds to tell a stranger what to do in a house that wasn't hers. Had a good laugh though too. I may be the a-hole because my mother's friend didn't know me and may have genuinely thought I was a minor, as I do look very young for my age. It really wouldn't matter. You're not the a-hole now, and you'd have been not the a-hole if you had been a minor. She had no business speaking to you that way regardless. The fact that adults can quite often get away with behaving badly towards children because children don't usually have the ability to do what you did here doesn't mean that their behavior is good. It just means they can get away with it. She behaved like an A and you spanked her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying for my daughter's honeymoon after she canceled her wedding? My wife and I have 3 kids, 36 male, 32 female, and 25 female. We have had agreements with all of our kids that we would help pay for up to $10,000 for their weddings or use that same amount towards a down payment on their first home. Both of our oldest kids picked a down payment option. They both got married and had medium-sized weddings, both under 100 guests. They paid for the majority of their weddings themselves, but we did pitch in maybe $1,000 to $2,000 to each of them to help a bit. My youngest got engaged last year and started planning her wedding, which was scheduled for this October. She told us she would like us to help pay for the wedding instead of a house, since both her and her fiancé are more comfortable with apartment living and don't want to put roots down anywhere since they are both young. She had us put deposits down for a venue, caterer, photographer, and a DJ. These deposits totaled over $5,000 and were non-refundable. About 2 months ago, my daughter called to tell us that she and her fiancé had decided to cancel their wedding and get married in a courthouse. She said the wedding planning was too stressful and they would rather just get married legally and spend money on a big honeymoon instead. She said she wants us to take the rest of what we would have paid for the wedding and put it towards their honeymoon instead. She said they want to take an extra long honeymoon, like 2 to 3 months of travel to multiple destinations.
I told her that we would not be contributing money to that. I explained that by canceling their wedding, we have lost out on thousands of dollars and gotten nothing out of it due to non-refundable deposits. Mind you, we never questioned any of their choices regarding wedding planning, and were not involved in any of the decision-making. I literally just wrote checks to vendors. My daughter is upset and accusing me of playing favorites with her older siblings, and for punishing her because she wants something different for herself. I told her that the situations are not the same, and that giving her thousands of dollars for her to bum around Europe and Asia for a few months was never something I agreed to. My wife wants to give our daughter a few thousand to try and even things out, but I am firmly against this. The way I look at it, we already gave her thousands of dollars and she decided to literally throw all of that money away. I understand wedding planning is stressful, and if they want a courthouse wedding, that is their choice. But it also wasn't their money that they lost by canceling the wedding. It was ours. My daughter thinks I am being an a-hole about this, and my wife wants to just give her the money to keep the peace. But I feel like that just completely absolves our daughter of what her decisions have cost us. I don't want to pay for her wanderlust after she cost me thousands of dollars. Not a hole, but I would encourage you and your wife to inform them that the remaining balance of the money is available to help contribute to a down payment on a home at a future date. This way, you are not playing favorites. You are not punishing her for changing her mind about the kind of wedding she wants. And you are still only using the money for purposes you are comfortable contributing to. Note, I get that you are annoyed at the loss of non-refundable deposits, but you are skating perilously close to an a-hole rating by framing it as she decided to literally throw all of that money away, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if that attitude is what your wife is reacting to. You are succumbing to the sunk cost fallacy. That money would have been gone no matter whether your daughter went through with the wedding or not. The only thing different is that, by realizing that she didn't want the big wedding, she has stopped spending additional unnecessary money. Not a hole. She wasted $5,000. No way in hell I'd give her more money. While she had a right to change plans, she doesn't have a right to ask for more money. I don't think she had a right to change plans without reimbursing her parents. She literally threw their money away and felt entitled to do so because it's my wedding. No. You take someone else's money, then use it for the intended purpose, or you give it back. Not a hole. Not a hole. Throwing away your money was an a-hole move, and I wouldn't give her more personally. If she had asked for the money for a honeymoon upfront because she wanted to do a courthouse wedding instead, then that's one thing. But to be so disrespectful with your gift and then ask for more? That's just incredibly entitled. I am also curious what jobs they have that they can take a multi-month honeymoon. According to them, this is their plan. Not renew their lease on their current apartment and move in with fiancé's parents post-wedding/pre-honeymoon. Quit their jobs to go on their honeymoon. Use their own savings and my $5,000 to travel cheap around Europe and Asia. Think backpacking and hostels type of travel for 2 to 3 months. Then come home, live with fiancé's parents for a bit while they get jobs and figure out their next steps. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my cousin I don't care she has 3 years to live? I have a second cousin called Jane. She's very close with my parents. We weren't close because she's always been kind of mean to me, but as we live in the same city and my parents often work long hours, she often accompanied me to extracurricular activities by taking the bus with me downtown as she was the only one available. I got her a nice Christmas gift this year with allowance I saved up, so I don't think I've been ungrateful for what she's done for me. I'd also like to note I'm not that young, 16 female. It's just my parents are weird about public transportation because I'm very small and a girl, and my mom was often harassed on the bus when she was young. Jane was unfortunately diagnosed with cancer recently and was given an estimate of 3 years left. Ever since she received the news, she's often done things like cutting in long lines and asking for discounts normally only available to service workers with the phrase, "I've only got 3 more years. We gotta make 'em good." Recently, my parents asked Jane to escort me on a flight to visit my family who lived in another state for 2 weeks. I'd never flown alone before, so the deal was that Jane would fly with me there and show me how things worked, return home without me, and then I would fly home alone after I knew how. My parents covered everything, plus some nice skincare for Jane as a thank you. On the flight, she stretched out her knees and legs onto the seats in front of us. When the person understandably turned around to complain, she used the stupid excuse about the 3 years to live thing again. The person said they were sorry about that, but to please put her legs in her own space. She kicked her legs around a bit and then put them so her knees were resting on the back of the seat in front of us. I told her she was acting childish, and she said that she deserves to be comfortable in her last years of life. I then told her that me and others around her don't care about her living life to the fullest at the expense of others. She was really quiet for the rest of the flight, and I feel horrible. I know I could have phrased it nicer, but I was sick of her being a jerk to random people. So, am I the a-hole, and how much? Edit. Just so you guys know, Jane really likes flying, so she was very excited to be the escort. She was also visiting a friend in the city. She also takes me on public transport about 1 to 2 times a month. Sorry if this is unnecessary, just trying to answer some questions. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I am terminal, with about a year, but I don't act entitled to anything. When I'm feeling down or my emotions run high, I spend time by myself so as to not offend anyone else. I am thankful for every single moment and am living life to the fullest, but not at the expense of others. Thank you so much for this comment. OP, this person is one of those who will be missed when they leave. Your cousin is trying very hard to make people not miss her. Not the a-hole. Like you said, you could have phrased it nicer, but she needed a wake-up call that "I'm dying" is never an excuse to treat others poorly. Hopefully, a reprimand from a 16-year-old will be enough to knock some sense in her. Jane needs to knock that off. She doesn't get to make other people miserable due to her diagnosis. On the other hand, maybe Jane should focus on herself and live it up for the time she has left on Earth. And maybe that means stop being the errand girl for other people. If she's going to take a flight somewhere, it should be to a place on her bucket list. Maybe if she started to focus on having awesome experiences for herself, she wouldn't act this way towards others. Not the a-hole. It sucks that your cousin has only 3 years to live. However, that does not give them the right to treat everyone like dirt. You're right to call them out. It's pretty character revealing though. Like money provides certainty that you'll be okay, this diagnosis provides certainty of Jane's fate. What does Jane do now knowing that she hasn't gotten much time left? Be horrible to others. It's revealing, but hold your horses. This is a teenage girl dealing with a terminal diagnosis. We can call her out for being horrible, but this may just be her initial reaction to figuring out that she's going to pass away. That's heavy stuff. OP or family should talk to her. Last story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my son that I don't think he'll be as successful in life as his sister?" I, 46 male, am the father to 2 children, 19 female and 16 male, with my wife, 44 female. My daughter is entering her sophomore year of college, and I recently posted a picture of her to social media and captioned it with, "My daughter is entering her sophomore year of college. I am so proud of her. She will go on to great success in life." For some reason, this bothered my son. He asked me, "Why don't you ever post anything about how proud you are of me? You always do about my sister." I told him that once he reached certain milestones, I would. He then said, "Well, I've still done things with my life so far, but you never acknowledge those things." I then told him, "Look, son, you are highly intelligent. Your sister is smart. You're smarter. I watched you both grow up and develop, and I'm telling you, you're in the upper echelon. But you're not half as hardworking or conscientious as her, which is why I'm probably always going to be bragging about her more than you. Start applying yourself to life the way you do video games and D&D, and that will change." My wife thinks that what I said to our son was hurtful and unnecessary. I think I was just being honest and trying to give him a wake-up call. I just want him to live up to his potential. Am I the a-hole? Info. Is this part of a plan of systematically demotivating your son? Or did you just feel he needed extra demotivation on this particular occasion? No, just the opposite. He is so intelligent and has so much potential, and it's just frustrating to watch him squander it. He's 16. What is he supposed to be doing with his life right now in your eyes? Right? When I was 16, I also played video games and fooled around with my friends. I managed to graduate college and get a decent job/life. This dad is probably a macho man boomer who doesn't understand D&D or anything about his kid's interest for that matter. You're the a-hole. Poor kid just wanted some acknowledgement from his dad. You can't boast about one child and not expect the other to feel a little left out. Oh, don't forget that he said out loud that the son is smarter than the daughter. Wait to insult both of your children. OP, you're the a-hole. He heard 2 kids in one sentence. You're the a-hole. Are you saying your son honestly has done nothing worth you posting about? How do you know he's so smart? You can't brag about that? Also, do you know that highly intelligent people often have such high expectations placed on them that they need to have escape valves such as playing games or they self-destruct? Yep, we self-destruct. I'm the technically smartest of 4 kids, but I'm the only one living near the poverty line with bad mental issues, and the other 3 are pretty successful. They/their families and my parents are wonderful. They never give me grief about failing to live up to my potential. Never make me feel bad that I don't have money and can't do the things they can do, like international travel for fun. I also don't ask them for money or make them feel bad for having it. If they want to invite me to family dinners at a restaurant they know they'll be paying, but I never invite myself or try to guilt trip them. If something serious happens, I could ask them to borrow money because I don't do it frivolously, and I give them realistic times of how long it would take me to pay them back. Also, celebrating their success doesn't diminish me.
Am I the a-hole for not giving my ex-girlfriend money I promised her? I had been dating Sam, female 31, for 2 years, and she had a problem with her car. I was getting money as a bonus, and I told her that she should get her car fixed, and I would gift her the money to pay off her credit card instead of giving her a Christmas or birthday gift this year. She got her car fixed, but then broke up with me about a month ago. Don't know why and don't really care. I thought we were doing well, but I guess not. She contacted me to see if I had gotten the money and when I would be sending it. I told her I had no plans in sending her money, and she said I was an a-hole for letting her put herself in debt if I had no plans to actually live up to my promise. I think that the situation has changed. I was planning on giving her the money, and she would have been screwed without a car. She needs it for work and to drive her kid around. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Actions have consequences. Breaking up means not getting the partner treatment anymore. The money was clearly meant to be contingent on being your partner. Not partner anymore, no money. I would say that you would be crazy to still give her the money. Not the a-hole. Absolutely do not give this person money. Block and move on, and don't allow yourself to get manipulated or persuaded. Not the a-hole. It's perfectly normal to lend money to a significant other. Once that relationship ends, you no longer owe them anything. She is gaslighting you, so you will give her money. She's an adult. Figure it out. Paying credit cards in for your car to be fixed is what adults do. This doesn't feel like a loan here. It was the promise of a gift. So yeah, not the a-hole. If it was a loan, I would feel different. Like, what if she paid up front to fix his car with the expectation that he would pay her back, not as any gift stipulation? She knew she was going to dump you and still accepted a gift. If you were doing something inappropriate and got caught, then yes, you should. But no, don't help her. If she just dumped you out of the blue, she either had it planned out for a while or has been going behind your back with someone new. Block her and everything. If you get bothered by her friends, say she took the offer when she was seeing someone behind my back or had it planned before she took the offer. Lord, I wish I had the confidence and audacity of this woman. What is she going to do? Withhold intimacy or break up with you if you don't pay? My God, not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for throwing my brother an end of alimony party? My older brother and his ex had a rocky marriage before they finally divorced. To be honest, there were enough faults in both of their parts, so no one can claim the high ground. But because his income was several times of hers, the court awarded her alimony. Thankfully, they were married for less than 10 years, so he only had to pay her alimony for half of the years they were married. His last payment to her will happen this month, so the guys and I are planning an end of alimony party for him. We're planning a week-long stay in Vegas at the Wynn, and we'll chip in to fully cover his end. Because we're planning to go at the end of the month, and there are about a dozen guys going, we've been texting and talking to coordinate the trip. When the trip was first planned, I told my girlfriend, and she wasn't happy about it. She wasn't mad that we're having a guys trip, because we've taken separate vacations before without any issues. She wasn't happy with the theme, and said that it was in bad taste. I disagree, and we had discussions about it until we agreed to disagree. On Friday, she was using my phone to watch her shows, and one of the guys sent a picture he designed for a shirt we're planning to have made for him to wear. The gist of the design is that he's free of alimony payments and can afford to eat again with some graphics. It was in a group text, and the other guys texted their robust approval. This sent my girlfriend into a rage I've never seen before. We got into a huge argument that lasted all weekend. We even had to cancel dinner plans we had with some friends. I thought our argument was coming to an end, but this morning while we were getting ready for work, she gave me the silent treatment and completely ignored my questions. Basically, she wants me to cancel the trip and admit that we're being terrible people for celebrating something so painful. I don't want to cancel the trip, and my brother is excitedly looking forward to the end of his payments, so I don't see any pain. I honestly don't know why she's so mad, because none of this have anything to do with her. She doesn't even know the ex, since they divorced before we even met. Not the a-hole, but I hope you remember to sign a prenup before you marry this one, and don't let her be a stay-at-home anything. Don't rely on her birth control. If a guy doesn't want children, there are birth control methods that a man can use. If she gets pregnant and he didn't use them, it's on him. Female birth control is only 90 to 94% reliable at the best of times. Never ever rely on someone else to prevent children you don't want. Not the a-hole, but this is showing some pretty big red flags. Sounds like she's upset that you wouldn't be open to paying her when you guys get divorced. She can't claim girl code because this happened before she was even around and it has nothing to do with her. Enjoy your trip and reconsider your relationship. Not the a-hole. The last months of the marriage were painful. The divorce was painful. Having to pay money every month to someone who hurt you and who you'd rather just forget entirely was painful. This is not painful. This is him finally being free from that part of his past, which will allow him to fully heal and move on. The only person this might be painful for is his ex, who has benefited from that money and has continued paying for the last 5 years. I could maybe see where she's coming from if the party theme was being rid/free of ex as a person. Like good riddance to Mandy, or whatever her name is, because that would be a personal attack. But just being free of having to shell out money every month? There is nothing wrong with that at all. The fact that your girlfriend thinks it's bad says a lot about her character and intent, and what it says isn't good. Red flag alert. Do not marry this woman, OP. From a woman. Next story. Am I the a-hole for denying my son's father phone calls after 8 years of no contact? Okay, backstory. I got pregnant at 17 and my son's father was out from the jump. He was not interested in being involved in our son's life at all. When my son was 3, I started dating my now husband. My son calls him dad but knows he's not his real dad. When my son was 5, I got served papers from biodad taking me to court for visitation. During court, the judge charged him with 1 count of child abandonment, but did approve of visits, starting in a therapist's office doing what's called reunification therapy. After 2 months of that, they got to have 4-hour weekly visits in the county I live in. The father lives 3 hours away. Anyway, after 4 visits expanded over 3 months, the dad called me and said he was moving across the country. He stated that he is never coming back to my state, but wanted to keep in touch. I would send a few pictures and updates, but eventually stopped after he wouldn't respond. One day I got a text from him telling me I should just have my husband adopt my son so he wouldn't have to pay child support. It's been 8 years since he's moved across the country, but he has never asked about our son until 2 days ago. He texted me and asked, when would it be a good time to talk to our son? I texted back and said that he would need to petition the courts for a new parenting plan if he's really serious about it. And he said I'm being difficult. Our son is 13 years old now. That would be extremely awkward to start phone calls after this many years. And especially since his dad ditched him after 6 months of meeting him the first time. Am I the a-hole for saying no? Edit with more info. No, my husband didn't adopt my son. Mostly because he is already his dad in every single way. And since sperm donor moved so far away, I figured why not collect the a-hole tax, child support. Yes, sperm donor pays monthly support. He and his new wife have actually reached out multiple times with the let your husband adopt him comment, but then claim that I am the one that's only about money. I do think that this could be linked to the new wife's pressures. She lost her 25-year-old brother to COVID last year, so maybe she's realizing how important family is. Another thing, my son has IDD, so he doesn't act as a normal 13-year-old. Probably more like a 10-year-old. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. To your son, he is essentially a stranger. Your husband is his father. Husband is his real dad. The other man is just biological. Please find a therapist that specializes in your situation. Your son deserves a plan that makes him a priority. OP has done well thus far, but she needs unbiased help. All this back and forth when it suits him won't be good for your kid, and I'd be explaining this to a judge. Not the a-hole. you're protecting your child. Be extremely vigilant and paranoid about why your ex suddenly wants to talk. He may just want to manipulate your son. Probably needs a kidney. Also common when there is a new girlfriend in the mix and he doesn't want to look like the deadbeat dad he is. Not the a-hole. This is so similar to the one earlier this week. For some reason, the absent parent needs to show or have a contact with a child. I'd say no and be suspicious. Sometimes people just don't care about or have the patience for small children, but think they can jump right in when the hardest work has been done and the child is old enough to be interesting to them. Or he has a new girlfriend who has been questioning his lack of involvement and he wants to look good to her. Either way, he's a waste of space. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband my life plans after he passes does not include any reliance on his children? My husband, 62 male, has 2 children from his previous marriage that I, 48 female, met in their early adolescence. Both children have good relationship with their parents, with the typical rockiness that comes with the teen years. Both are in their 20s now, working on their degrees, and overall doing well. My relationship with both of them have been cordial and emotionally disconnected, in large part because I never felt like I was allowed to be a stepmother. I was expected by both parents to be their friend. As an adult in her 30s, I was simply not comfortable being friends with 2 children under the age of 13. I tried to be as open to talking with them, showing them affection, taking them places, doing interesting things with them, and trying to engage with them on their level. But my hands were always tied whenever their behavior needed correction, and more than once led to getting steamrolled for enforcing rules that I personally live by, like telling his daughter to not hit her brother. I often felt like I was a stranger in my own house when things got out of control. Nevertheless, I got through it, and they're adults now, and for the most part, all is well. But while my husband has children, I wasn't able to have kids, despite desperately wanting to have one. Those facts means that my reality requires me to be as prepared as I can, because I will be alone if he dies before me. While explaining this to him, in the broader context of why I was investing the way I have been, he got his feelings hurt, thinking that I should assume his kids will take care of me. They already have a mother they may have to take care of, and I would hope that if I need help taking care of my husband, that they would help as well. But I have no illusions that such a sense of offspring duty or obligation would be extended to me. But he thinks that I'm insulting his children as being unfeeling or callous. To be perfectly fair, if they didn't lift a finger for me, I really wouldn't attribute it to being unfeeling or callous, only that they genuinely have no real obligation to take care of me. What's worse is he wants to talk to his kids about this and put them into that ugly position of insisting that they would take care of me to make him happy, or being honest and say they wouldn't and deal with him being disappointed. He's irritated and hurt, and I feel like I'm an a-hole for trying to make sure I am not screwed if I'm unlucky enough to hit 80 and be all alone. Not the a-hole. It's wise to plan for your future, ignoring your relationship or lack thereof with his kids. They aren't responsible for caring for parents in their old age. Point out to your husband that if at any point he needs help, they don't have to, morally or legally. You are responsible. I'm not sure why he got upset. He decided the parameters of your relationship with his stepkids. Explain this and that you don't want it raised with his kids because he ensured they weren't yours. Thank you. I think his sense of hurt is because he thinks I have a low opinion of his children, that I don't see his children as particularly generous of wallet or spirit. I really don't think less of them. Perhaps he's upset because it indicates that I never thought more of them. While I agree that children really have no legal obligation, we may quibble over the moral element mostly because I reject rule-by-thumb morality. At the end of the day, in my case, I really don't think they have a moral or legal obligation to take care of me at all. And he's interpreting this has me thinking poorly of them. Him not listening to you or just misinterpreting your response? You probably need to clarify this before it festers. Would reading your post upset him? It's very lucid, concise, and has no bitterness or malice. That's very kind of you. I may share it with him. Sometimes reading things are taken differently than hearing it. Why does it bother him that you are investing in being financially wise? Aside from his choosing to be offended by your not assuming his kids will take care of you, why is your fiscal responsibility even questioned? Any chance he would prefer you spend the money you invest? He could assure you that he will take care of you with his investments and insurance if it predeceases you. So why isn't he reassuring you by telling you that in detail? Guessing he will leave everything to his kids, and you assuming he will do that and that his kids won't help you is embarrassing to him, because he knows it is valid. If he dies before you, what financial measures are in place to care for you? Worst case scenario for OP is that husband talks to his kids and they tell him whatever he wants to hear, even though it's not true, so he leaves all his assets to his kids. He thinks they'll take care of OP. They don't. She's up a creek. She needs to insist on some insurance policies where she's the beneficiary at minimum. His social security? What about their home? Will she inherit his half? Is she even on a deed? I really appreciate the concern here. In a way, I hear my late father's voice as these are the kind of ideas he would bring up. The house is in my name alone. I bought it before we married. I've been aggressively saving my own retirement account, and I'm okay given my current age and my own planned retirement. I'm sole beneficiary with his life insurance policy. I know his retirement funds are split 3 beneficiaries, me and the kids. He is the kind of man who would want to make sure that all of us have something to help with the expense of his passing, and that the kids have a little buffer in life.